we have to acknowledge being a diaspora. I hate that word. And the reason why I hate that word is anyone that lives in Congo or visits Congo will quickly learn. When people say Congo, there's a lot of money, let's be honest, it's a corrupted economy. So if you're talking about getting loads of cash from God knows who, you better. Oh, hello. All right. I hope I am loud and clear today. Sometimes my sound is not the best, especially when I'm outside, but I think today it should work. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that people always ask me, and it always comes up. It either comes up here in Kinshasa or on either my YouTube channel or via email. Is, I love your Kinshasa Diaries. I want to move back to Congo. And I think there's a lot of people, especially given the whole quiet quitting, North America inflation, Europe has been a mess for a minute. So people have this urge to come home. And so today I want to talk about my wins and challenges with living in Congo. This way, to just help you navigate if you want to move back here. It's up to you. I don't want to discourage anyone. I don't want to encourage anyone. It's just me sharing my journey, and then we can go from there. So let's begin with step one. So let's start with opportunities. So let's always start with a positive opportunity. So I think, and by the way, I had to write it down or else I'll forget. So let's start with opportunity. So here's the reality. Congo is a virgin territory. It's, in French, we say chantier. Think of it as a work field. Nothing has been done. Everything is to be rebuilt. So what that really means is that there's opportunities. It's just the truth, right? To quote Albert Einstein, there's always opportunities in the chaos. So there's just opportunities. And from construction, because there's a lack of infrastructure, to energy, because there's lack of electricity, to sort of the water space, because water is scarce, right? From education. So there's so many opportunities, and we cannot deny that. I'll say this is number 2 in terms of opportunities. This is more emotional, but I think both my parents live here now. My mom moved back from Canada and she wants to retire here. It is powerful to see your parents grow older and spend time with them. And some of my siblings decided to move to Congo with their kids. So it's been so cool getting closer again to my family, especially after being a nomad and living abroad for so long. Sorry, my dog is drinking water. And so that, I would say, has been really beautiful for me, at least. And I think to go back to the opportunity piece, I forgot to mention, sorry, I'm jumping around. The opportunity piece, I would definitely also say there's something to be said about building a business, an opportunity, something in your native country, especially those of us coming from Congo, because let's be honest, it's a third world country economically. So it's so powerful that today I'm proud to say that I've created jobs for over 20 people. Some of them are temps, which are temporary staff. Others are more permanent, like my assistant and my accountant, who are young women, and that's always been my dream, to create opportunities for women. So I'm so happy that I did that. So again, opportunities, it's a virgin territory, sort of creating, building infrastructure and opportunities in your own country through businesses, and then, spending time with my parents that are getting older. That's been pretty powerful. But a fourth thing that I think that's really been amazing about living in Congo has been, we have to acknowledge being a diaspora. I hate that word. And the reason why I hate that word is anyone that lives in Congo or visits Congo will quickly learn. There's 2 types of diaspora. There's the diaspora that not to be rude, but I don't know what they were doing in the West, but they were not doing much. So they came back to Congo. They're such snobs. They don't do shit. Sorry for my language. And then they're just really snobs. And then there's other diaspora like myself that we're here. We're like, I'm just low key. I just want to do cool stuff and spend time with people. And I don't want anyone to know who I am. And I want to live in my own little bubble. But I do have to say, being a diaspora has its advantages. Huge, right? Like, in all truth, I'm Noemi, born in Congo, raised in Canada, lived in the US and in Europe a few times. I have a master's degree. I've done well as an entrepreneur. There are many of me in the US and in Canada. It's just the truth. Go to San Francisco, you will see a lot of Nigerian girls that are killing the game. So in North America, I'm one of many. Whereas here, I'm actually one of few. It's just the truth, right? Especially speaking English. Although we're a francophone country, Congo is moving towards the English direction. And the fact that I speak English, I'm well aware that I get more opportunities. I get taken up more seriously. And growing up and having a Canadian education gives me a position of advantage. So I think being a diaspora, if you utilize that to your best advantage and you have the background to back it. Like in North America, not to brag, but I do have a master's. I did really pay my dues in terms of education and accomplishments. So you come here with that and you really are focused. You don't get caught up in the sapology. You don't get caught up in the praise and people knowing who you are. You really come here to do work. I think being a diaspora is powerful. The truth of the matter is, Congo is a cash based economy. Now, whether you like it or not, I really hate it most of the time because cash also means a lot of fraud and a lot of sort of corruption. But the truth of the matter is, the country is so disorganized that financially, although Kinshasa is very expensive, so anyone that wants to move to Kinshasa, just know if you want to keep the same standard of living that you had in the West, here it's going to cost you a lot because apartments are expensive. The nice ones, it's based on speculations. If you're not able to drive yourself, you're going to need a driver, a car. Gas is not the cheapest. Food at grocery stores is mostly imported, so the prices are stupid high. Local foods and markets are not always the most easily accessible and attainable. And so Kinshasa is expensive. It's just the truth. It's an expensive city. However, let's be honest, unless you're working for an employer, you're not really paying taxes like you would in North America. You're having different streams of income depending on what kind of hustle you're doing. So because of that, the cost of living is somewhat lower, I find, than it is in North America. Although Kinshasa is very expensive, when I look at my expenses, I definitely spend less here just because the bureaucracy of tax systems, of pay and all that stuff in North America, especially Canada, right now the Canadian dollar is lower than the US dollar. In Congo, I live on the US dollar because the franc is horrible. So there is those advantages of living in Congo. So if you're thinking about moving back, especially because you have this hunger for like ambition, work, opportunities, I definitely think that there's opportunities, especially if you tap into the right opportunities, right? Like the country is a third world country. I cannot stress this enough. Don't make the mistake that I made. I started with too much technology and I quickly realized this country is not ready for technology yet. This country is still at the basic, what economists call primary economics, which is food. So if you're going to do businesses here, start from the basics. And I really think come here for a couple months to understand the culture, the mindset, the landscape before you engage in a business opportunity. So all this to say, there's definitely opportunities here, but is it easy to navigate? Not so much. Now, this is where we're going to get into the challenges. I made myself some homemade ginger iced tea. So good with some Lubembo honey. Yes. Okay, so let's start now with the challenges. And again, totally had to write it down because as you can tell, I just like go in tangent. So I had to write down my thoughts. So here's the thing with Congo. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat it because as I'm recording this video. Literally, I think it was yesterday that I had a full breakdown. I was crying like a baby to my mom. Congo is not easy. And I have to say specifically Kinshasa. Let's be honest, like I've been to many parts of the country. I've been to Mwanda, I've been to Bukavu, Goma, Matadi, I've been to Bandundu a few times. And the reality is, Kinshasa is technically the most developed. Goma is starting to be developed again, but because Goma is such a rich territory, I'm not confident that it's going to be fully developed because it requires really sufficient leadership, which this country does not have. But I think with challenges of Congo, there are many. And again, I don't want to discourage anyone that wants to move here. If it's on your heart to move here, please do. That way you can discover for yourself. And who knows, you may just fall in love with it and don't want to move back. So let's start with some of the challenges. Honestly, the biggest one for me, I think, is the lack of infrastructure. And this is so hard. Like Kinshasa, for example, a lot of people don't know this about Kinshasa. It's a city that was built for 600,000 people. And recently, the statistics have shown that there is now over 15 million people living in Kinshasa. So that's insane. 600,000, yet we have over 15 million living in Kinshasa. The traffic has gone to another level. Like, my office is normally about a 6-minute drive, but from Monday to Friday, it takes at least 45 minutes or an hour and a half for me to get there. And you're sitting in traffic, the honking, the yelling, like, I can't. So that lack of infrastructure, where the reason why everybody's coming to Kinshasa is because where else are they going to live? This is technically considered the most developed, where there's all these businesses and all the international economics. They always put money in Kinshasa, so people come all the way here for opportunities, but it has gone out of control. And I think the lack of infrastructure as well. Electricity. I'm very privileged and I acknowledge it. I live in a good apartment, but even my apartment, sometimes electricity goes out so much that I was recently in Kenya. I come back from my trip. My entire fridge is full of insects and animals because the electricity went out for a couple of days and all my food went bad. So my apartment was stinking. And then even as I'm talking to you right now, like I would love to show you guys this, but my AC leaked. The walls are like molding because it's a humid country and they didn't take into account when they built this building that you don't use this kind of material in a tropical country. So the infrastructure is so bad. The water is scarce. Now everybody has like water tank. In French we call them sit-down, which is very scary because everyone now has one in their property. Not everyone, but most affluent people have one in their properties, which, because there's no regulations, no one is studying the effect that these are going to have on the country because you have too many sit-down all over without the infrastructure at the bottom. If an earthquake happens, we're all screwed. So the lack of infrastructure is so bad. Even when you get out of Kinshasa going to my farm, like my back hurts, I'm miserable. It's an 8.5 hour drive. Like, it's just a lot. And I think the second part, which goes with infrastructure, is adapting. I think I am a very adaptable person. That comes with traveling a lot. But for some reason, Congo is where I have the hardest time adapting. Which is weird because there's a lot of Indian people in Congo now. There's a lot of Lebanese people. There's now Chinese people. They adapt so well. And I don't know if it's because they have a community with them that we don't always have, which is going to be my next point, the community piece. But really adapting to Congo is not easy for most people of the diaspora like myself. Hence why a lot of us, after a year or two, we leave and we go back to Western countries. So adapting is not easy in Congo because you keep comparing to what you were used to in the West and you're having a hard time adapting. And I think another piece that goes with adapting that I really struggle with, which is my third point, is the mindset. The reality with Congo, I really didn't take this into account when I moved back. I grew up in Canada. I lived in California. Canada is the most liberal country in the world. Like, the mindset in Congo is like 50 to 100 years behind. Women are not as respected. The workplace, I hear horrible stories about sexual harassment. as a woman, like, don't get me wrong, I want to build a family one day, but the pressure that they put on women to get married to some people that are losers. There's great men here, but there's a lot of them that are not, and these women are just pressured to get married. A lot of men are expected to be just providers. They're not taught to contribute to the family outside of finances. So you're raising these men that have this toxic masculinity mindset because they don't know anything else. And they don't mean to, but they're just not taught anything else. And so I really think that's where I really struggle with the mindset of Congo, especially Kinshasa.
It's okay.
And I think that the fourth one, I think this is fourth, I can't keep up anymore. The fourth one I was also going to mention is opportunities. So the reality is, opportunities here, like I said in the first half of the video, there's a lot of opportunities, but there's also challenges with opportunities. What people don't realize, and I wish more people would talk about this when they talk about moving back to Congo, is that the reality is opportunities in Congo are based on your network. It's just the truth. So in any society, there's classism, right? There's the poor, middle class, and the wealthy. But Congo, because of the disparity of wealth and the extreme gap between the rich and the poor, there is a middle class starting, but we're not quite there yet. So what that really means is that many people that have money, they want to hold on to power and they're not willing to let other people in. It becomes a club. And so for you, a lot of times in Congo, people don't realize, people are like, oh, there's so much money in Congo. There's so much money in Congo. Yeah, unless you're a politician or you're in a family of politicians, it's hard. And even those who are, because I know some that are part of politician family, they don't even touch the money. So the reality with Congo and opportunities, it is part of your network because in all truth, even to start a business, you're going to need a lot of paperwork, which is very costly. And you sometimes have to give motivation to people to sign your documents. Some of these documents, and because the economy is so dependent on the public sector, a lot of these documents and signatures you're going to need, if you don't know someone that works in that government, in that entity, you're very unlikely to get that signature. So you're blocked. If you don't know X, Y, and Z that works in that ministry that just got funding from the IMF, you're not going to get money. So in all truth, opportunities in Congo are very limited to a network of people, which I hate because in other developed countries, you can start an app, do social media marketing, and you'll get your customers. The paperwork to register your business takes you 2 minutes, but Congo is not like that. And when people say Congo, there's a lot of money, let's be honest, it's a corrupted economy. So if you're talking about getting loads of cash from God knows who, you better have a strong network. Which then goes also with the next point I was going to make, my fifth one, the challenge with Congo, is community. One regret I have, I had an amazing community in San Diego that I regret leaving. And I think in Congo, sadly, the relationships you're going to build here are going to be based on socioeconomic and status. If you're coming here for opportunities and business, just accept a lot of the relationships are going to be shallow and vain. And people only want to be friends with you if they gain something out of you. Whereas in North America and Western Europe, because the majority is middle class, everybody kind of has the same things. So no one is really envious of anybody else. They don't really feel the need to use you. But when you move up in any powerful socioeconomic class, and this is in any country, any nation, you have to know that people want to leverage from you. So if there's no equal leverage, they cannot get anything out of you, they're not going to want you. And what I find in Congo is a lot of people fake it. And this is the only country where fake it till you make it actually works. People fake their way into the rich class by wearing the right clothes, saying the right things. I come from Europe, I come from Canada, but in truth, they have nothing to bring to the table. But hey, it gets them into the right doors. Or some girls bleach their skin to get into the right parties. It sadly works here sometimes, but it's not sustainable. So I think community has been hard for me because you look for genuine, authentic friendships, people that you can just go out to dinner with, people that you can just have over at your house, people who you can just call after work, you go for a walk. It's hard to build that here. And don't get me started on dating. It's even worse for women like myself. It's just hard. And so I do have to say that's been a big challenge for me in Congo. And lastly, I think for me it's been lifestyle. I really value waking up in the morning, going for a walk with my dog, hiking, going to a coffee shop, journaling, and then going and working on my small business. And in the evening, spending time with friends and family. A very simple lifestyle in the West, but that's not common and accessible in Kinshasa. So looking back, do I regret coming to Congo? No. I had to come and see it for myself. That way I don't have that thought of like, what would happen if I moved to Congo? But now that I'm here, it's been very hard and I'm not very happy here. Like I feel like I'm slowly becoming depressed, if I have to be honest here. But if you're thinking about moving to Congo, it is possible and some people are doing really well here. But really think through what kind of problem you're trying to solve with your business and solve the right problem, not the problem that you think that people need. I think that's really critical. And at this stage of my life, I think lifestyle is more important. Stability, settling down. And in all truth, Kinshasa is not easy, especially someone like me that's very passionate and intense naturally. Kinshasa is just too amplified, too loud, too noisy. And so for me, it's been really hard. But like I said, some people thrive in this environment. So if that's you, do it. I don't want to discourage anybody, but I figured I'll make this video for anybody that's thinking about moving here and wants to move here. I hope this helps. And always feel free to DM me if you need anything further, details, or guidelines. Bye, guys.